Jnananandammayam Devam Nirmalam Spatikakritim Adharam Sarva Vidyanam Hayagrimopasmahe. Welcome all to our online course on flavors of Vaishnavism. Today is being a very auspicious day, Vijayadasami, where usually anything in relation to art, it gets started today. Anyone wants to learn music, dance, or even for that matter, any Vedas, any of this thing is considered to be a very auspicious day today to get started. This Jnanananda Mayam Devam Nirmalam Spatika Kritim Adharam Sarva Vidyanam Ayagrivam Upasmahe is an offering to Lord Ayagriva, who is a Lord of education, from whom Goddess Saraswati also gets her power of giving education to others. So we'll follow the feet of Lord Ayagriva on this auspicious day to bless us to gain some knowledge from this course, from a small, simple, humble attempt. Jnananandam, the Lord Krishna in the form of Ayagriva, is embodiment of knowledge. Nirmalam means one who is free of any faults, no dosham at all. He is only auspicious. He only has auspicious qualities. Adharam, he is the foundation for everything that in existence. He is foundation for our life. He is foundation for the entire creation. Sarva Vidyanam, of all type of vidyas that we can think of. There are several vidyas are there. For all the vidyas, he is the embodiment of all the vidyas. Therefore, Jnananandam Mayam Devam. Let's offer our obeisances to Lord Hayagriva. Again, once again, wish you all a Vijayadasami. Thank you for taking your time to come join us for this course and committing yourself for being with us for next few sessions. The sessions, my desire to have every week, but there are chances that I may have to skip few weeks due to some traveling plans that I have. But total of 12 to 13 sessions is what we have for this course. So let's take a few moments, all of us, so that we can offer our prayers to Lord Sri Krishna Balaram, Nitai Gaur Nataraj, and Srila Prabhupada to get their blessings, and to our gurus and acharyas. So we gain some knowledge from this to strengthen our bhakti, and also to all the great sages and saints. Without their blessings, what we are going to cover here in this course is not going to be beautified. Therefore, let's pray to everyone at this time. With that said, a short introduction. Let me share the screen here. And by the way, the few course instructions is that please keep yourself muted all the time, and your videos can also be muted. You don't need to share your video. And any questions that you have, kindly post it in the WhatsApp group that we have created, and all the questions will be collected, and we have a separate session just to go over the questions based on number of questions we have. So this is going to be only a course, and question and answers will be discussed later, so that we have enough, we can cover enough material that we need to cover, because the subject itself a big subject of various schools of thoughts. So let me share the screen. So many of us may be thinking, when we talk about philosophy, why does we need to learn philosophy, right? So here, what are we going to cover about different philosophies? Or today we are going to spend time understanding the 18 seat of knowledge, Vidya Sthana. What are the 18 Vidya Sthana? Meaning the knowledge of seat that everyone should be aware of. In the next session, we will cover Advaita philosophy. Some of you might be wondering, how come Advaita philosophy has been added over here when we talk about Vaishnavism? That will be revealed in our next session, how Advaita philosophy can also be included in Vaishnava schools of thoughts. That will be the next session. VishistAdvaita, that is second one in the school of thought that we will cover in our third session. And then Dvaitam and Advaita, VishudhaAdvaita by Vishnuswami, and then JAnaki Vallabha sampradhAya by Ramananda, and ShuddhAdvaita by VallabhAcArya, a contemporary of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then Navya vishishtAdvaita, that is the Swami Swami Narayana schools of thought, MahApurusha SiddhAnta, and then we'll also obviously cover Achintya bedAbheda Tattva. And finally, we have a session for just for question and answers. So that's why we want to gather all your question and answer and address everything at the end. But there's a supplementary. If time permits, we'll have a supplementary session to cover Buddhism, Jainism, and ChArvAka, and how they are and their various branches within the Buddhism and so forth. That's the supplementary thing. That's going to be the course content. The course is going to be anywhere between 60 to 90 minutes that we will have, and this will be recorded. And for your reference, you can always come back and hear the recordings. Now, the first question that may arise for us is, why do we have to get into too much of philosophy? Because this whole course is about philosophy. There's not going to be stories. It's not pastimes or any of those things. Of course, there'll be a time spent on the history, biography of each acharyas of that particular sampradhaya. For example, in the next session, we're going to cover the birth and life of Adishankara. Next is going to be RAmAnuja, MadhvAcArya, and so forth. That part will be there as a story. But then other than that, it's going to be fully focused on the philosophy. So one may ask this question, why do we have to focus on philosophy when we are doing bhakti? I am a bhakta. I am surrendered soul. I'm chanting my rounds. I'm doing some services. Philosophy is something that not for me, it's for jnanis or someone else. It's really not necessary. Philosophy is not really necessary. And also sometimes when we talk about philosophy, when we say philosophy, people get scared about it. Something which is beyond one's capacity to understand. But really speaking, philosophy is recommended even by Krishna. So the entire Bhagavad Gita is nothing but philosophy. One cannot say, I don't want to read Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is all Sarvo Upanishado Ghavaga, Dokta Gopala Nandana. Therefore, Sarva Upanishad Ghavaga. It's the essence of all the Upanishad is what Bhagavad Gita is. And the Upanishad is nothing but philosophy. It's all about philosophy. Therefore, philosophy cannot be removed from the religion or the practices. Krishna recommends in Bhagavad Gita, especially Krishna speaks in the 7th, 9th, and 10th chapter, where in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he focuses about his position. What is position? That is his highest position, where he is not equal to anyone. There is no one superior to him. Matta paratramna anyat kinchit asti dhananjaya. Mai sarvam idam protam sudre manigana iva. So no one is equal to me. No one is superior to me. The entire 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is speaking about Krishna's unique position. Right? And the 9th chapter talks about how he is great, how Krishna is so very great. Gatir Bharta Prabhu Shakshi Nivasaha Shanam Sutta Sukrita. So Krishna says in the 9th chapter, where he says he is the goal, he is a sustainer, he is a master, he is a witness, he is a abode, he is a refuge. Therefore Krishna, therefore Arjuna, understand my greatness. No one can be of my nature. Therefore Krishna speaks about his own greatness in the 9th chapter. And in the 10th chapter, his ultimate opulences, his greatest opulences, all about himself, how great he is. Yadyad vibhuti mat sattvam srimat urjitam evava. Tattat, Krishna says in this particular chapter, he says that my opulence, my beauty, my glories, and everything that I told you for now is just a fragment of the big thing which cannot be measured. It's just a spark of my splendor. Krishna says these things. One might be thinking that, well, why should we know all this thing? If we hear when Krishna was bound by Mother Yashoda, And then we see that Krishna became a chariot driver for Arjuna. And Krishna washed the feet of Sudama. If we don't understand who Krishna is, what his position is, how great he is, what are his opulences are, we are not going to appreciate when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, when we hear Bhagavatam that Krishna was bound by Mother Yashoda. Well, so what? I also got bound by my mother when I was naughty in my young age. I also drove car to my friends, dropped them somewhere, and so forth, right? But unless and until we know the greatness of a person, we will not appreciate how that person is when we hear that person's pastimes, that person's lifestyle, right? Therefore, it's very important that we understand to strengthen our faith and bhakti towards Krishna. The philosophy is so very important. And without the philosophy, understanding who Krishna is, why that Supreme Lord Krishna, who's greater than everyone, who's cause of all causes, who's a maintainer, who's a creator, maintainer, and a destroyer, from whom everything comes, to whom everything goes back, that Lord, after understanding this philosophy, from that Lord came down to this world and got bound by Yashoda. That Lord who is cause of all causes, who's source of everything, creator, maintainer, destroyer, became a driver for Arjuna, an ordinary being. That Lord who is the cause of all causes, maintainer, creator, destroyer, source of everything, washed the feet of a Brahmana. When we connect these two together, then we really appreciate the Lord. That's when our love for the Lord grows, increases. If we want to go and ask someone a donation, or if you are in need of money, we need to go and ask someone who has some money. If we want to learn music, Carnatic music or Hindustani, we have to go and learn from someone who has that knowledge. Like that, if we want to gain something, we have to go to someone who has that thing which we don't have, who can happily give. And when he gives, he does not lose also. If I have $100 and someone comes and asks me for $50, I can give $50 because I have $100. But then after I give that $50, I only have $50 because that's a $50 gone from my account. But Krishna is not like that. Krishna can give everything, but still he has so much which cannot be measured. That is his position, that is his greatness, that is his opulence. Therefore, it is true Krishna's pastimes of nectarian. Nothing can be equalized to Krishna's wonderful pastime of stealing butter and stealing the garments of the gopis and making Yudhishthira to speak lies and changing the constitution of the Amavasi and many, many things Krishna did. This is all beautiful to hear. But all those things will only become beautiful to our heart when we understand the greatness of Krishna. If someone else does this, it could be a magician who can do all this thing. Therefore, when Krishna does this thing, who is a Lord of all, Sarva Karana Karanam, then we start appreciating how Krishna is. Therefore, in our sampradhAya, or any sampradhAya, the acharyas, the gurus, never only focus on bhakti, giving up jnana or the knowledge, which is philosophy part. Or they don't only pick up on the philosophy and jnana, give up bhakti. Okay, the bhakti and philosophy, in other words, when I say bhakti, it's a religion, the philosophy go together. We cannot only depend on take only one as philosophy, I don't want bhakti or religion. Or one cannot say I only want bhakti and religion, I don't want anything to hear about all this philosophy, is too much for my head. It's beyond my capacity. Therefore, it's not like that. It has to go together. Why? To strengthen our faith. The faith, our faith towards our religion, towards the Sanatana Dharma, towards Krishna, it only increases when we keep hearing more about Krishna's greatness, Krishna's opulences, Krishna's position. Therefore, it is important, as the great sages done, they also worked on cultivating the jnana, also they worked on cultivating the bhakti. When they do this one, then their faith increases. Or not only that, our faith increases. And not only that, it also protects oneself. It protects oneself because nowadays so many religions are coming up, so many philosophies are coming up, and everyone is trying to preach. which is outside of Sanatana Dharma, or taking a part of Sanatana Dharma and misinterpreting in the way that they wanted to confuse people. Therefore, it is important for us to focus on the philosophy to strengthen ourselves and protect ourselves from other forces in different forms that comes and attack us. Therefore, for that reason also, we need to learn philosophy. And not only that, if we don't learn the philosophy, if we don't focus on the philosophy, then what's going to happen to the Sanatana Dharma? No one is going to, we won't be able to save the Sanatana Dharma, right? Sanatana Dharma is the actual term for what now pervaded into a term called Hinduism, but Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma means that which is eternally existing. We don't have a time frame when this religion started. Anadi Kalam. It's been there forever. But whereas you take any other religion, there's always a time, there's always a starting point, right? Therefore, Sanatana Dharma is eternally present there. And knowledge is to develop bhakti. The knowledge that we are trying to develop now during this course is not to become puffed up that I have learned and completed this course, I know so much, but rather this knowledge should help one to develop bhakti, not to simply become a scholar. Now I know everything. If the knowledge that we develop does not help us to progress in our bhakti, and that knowledge is as good as a footwear, as Shastra says. So both bhakti and jnana is essential. Therefore, religion and philosophy is essential. They go hand in hand. That's a very important thing that we need to understand here. How do I know the truth? That's another important thing we need to know is, how do I know? Okay, there are so many truths are there. So many people say that this is the right thing. What I'm telling is correct. Someone comes and tells, no, this is correct. Someone else says that is correct. So there are so many people have difference of opinion. What is to be the right one? How do I know what is right? Therefore, there are three pramanams. Pramanam means the tool that creates a knowledge for anything to become a subject to talk, thought, or action. That is called pramanam. A tool or an instrument which helps me to understand some object to become for my thought process, a subject for my thought process, contemplation, or for my speech to talk about it, or to take an action about it. So I'm seeing an apple, right? And there's a red color object, round object is there. I'm seeing that one. Now that object is seen by me. I'm seeing it, I see it, now I'm thinking about it. Okay, I've seen it somewhere. It's red in color, it has slight white shades there, and there's a slight stem on the top of it. It must be an apple. Right? What does that help me? What are the tools that help me to cognize that this is an apple? It's my eyes, right? So the eye is one pramanam, and this is called pratyaksha pramanam. Pratyaksha pramanam means that knowledge which can be attained through the senses, and not only through the senses. Sometimes we have a misconception. Pratyaksham, aksha means eyes. Pratyaksha means therefore which can be seen and understood through the eyes is one type of pramanam. Not only senses of eyes, not only the eyes, but any senses for that matter. One person may not even have eyes. By just a touching feeling of something, he can tell, oh, this is a banana, or this is a wall. He can come up with an understanding of what that is by the touch senses. So that to the touch senses, to the smells, to the seeing, through the hearing, all the senses will help us, becomes a tool for one to cognize, have a knowledge about an object. Not only senses, through the senses that we gain knowledge becomes a pratyaksha pramanam. It can also be without senses. That is also pratyaksha pramanam. The great yogis, without senses, they can cognize certain things. That is also falls under pratyaksha pramanam. For example, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gave a divine vision to Arjuna. It is not through his senses, but Krishna empowered him with a divine vision. That is also called pratyaksha pramanam. So please let's understand this very important thing. Otherwise, we may think only through the senses that we observe, we understand is called pratyaksha pramanam. Not necessary. Even without senses, one can cognize, one can get a knowledge of some objects, can also fall into pratyaksha pramanam, as I gave some examples. Anumanam means inference. Inference means by which one can make an inference with there is a smoke. If there is a smoke, therefore there must be fire. And this anumanam comes with a previous pratyaksham, previous experience of seeing fire in the smoke. Fire and smoke are seen together. Therefore, now I only see the smoke. Then I can relate to my previous knowledge that I gained, and that comes now as anumanam, that, oh, therefore there must be a fire. This is anumanam. So pratyaksham pramanam is important, anumanam is also important, but there are some limitations by which, I wouldn't say limitation, there are certain things which not necessarily can be perceived by pratyaksham or anumanam, which is beyond our capacity to understand. That which can be perceived called drishta. Drishta means which can be seen or understood, and that which cannot be seen or sensed or through the inference are called adrishta. Adrishta means adrishtam. Adrishta means which cannot be perceived through anumanam or pratyaksham. And that type of pramanams are called shabda pramanam. The shabda pramanam are nothing but the Vedas. Vedas are called the shabda pramanam. So shabda pramanam, the Vedas, because Vedas are nothing but the sound. Nowadays we have internet, nowadays we have books, we have many ways that the Vedas has been put into a printed format. But in those days, the Vedas were never written down. The Vedas were passed down in disciplic succession. The Guru will say the statement from the Vedas and the disciple will repeat it. That's how the Vedas were transferred, or the knowledge was transferred to the disciple, and that disciple again need teaches to his disciple, and so forth. So this is called Shabda Pramanam. One may have the question, well, who created this Vedas? Vedas were never created. These are the laws that given by the Lord to us. Like in a family situation, even within the family, husband and wife, children living together with parents or without parents, and so whatever it is, in a situation, they have certain laws that they want to follow in the house. Well, you cook on these days, I will cook on those days. Now I'll take care of I will take care of the kids Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You take care of them on Thursdays and Tuesdays, right? Some sort of the policies and rules and laws that even not written down, but between husband and wife, between the family, they have certain rules with the family, right? As long as we follow the laws within the family goes nice. If you don't follow the laws, obviously wife is going to scream, or husband is going to scream, or we going to scream with the children, and children gets upset, and so forth. Therefore, there is a law given within the family situation. Let's expand that family situation. How it can be expanded? If you go into the office, the corporate world, the office that we work for, they also have the policies, the laws that we need to follow. Take it further above now. The state of the country has its own law, state laws there. Even though there is a constitutional law for the entire country, state laws are applied. You know, sometimes you stay for, you move to one place to another place for, and you settle down in another state, you definitely have to register the vehicle, you have to take a license and so forth according to that state. So law changes on that particular state. Likewise, the country itself, the nation itself has certain laws. The whole world, they have certain common laws. Likewise, for the entire creation and for the people who live, not only in this earth planet, in the above planets and everywhere, wherever the humanities are there, the laws are given, and that laws given by the Lord to us, and that laws are called the Vedas. And the Vedas is not been created. It's not someone one fine day sat on a weekend and thought about, okay, let's put this law together and execute it. Vedas is not a thought of someone which came into existence at one particular point of time. It's eternal, nityam, apurushaya. Apurushaya means apurusha is not created by a being. It's been given to us, which has been existing always, which has been given to us, and then to the mankind to follow the systematic way of life so that we can be successful in our yo brahmana vidadat vipurvam yo ve vedansasai prahinoti tasmai. It is said the Lord, at the time of creation, the Lord gave the Vedas to the first citizen of the creation called Brahma. Brahman is different and Brahma is different. Brahman is the absolute supreme personality of Godhead. Brahma is a living entity, not the supreme Lord. That living entity, the first living entity is get created by the Lord. When we say created, it is the body that been created, not the Atma. Atma never get created. So the Lord picks up that one soul who has done a lot of pious deeds and then give him the position as Brahma, a creator, a secondary creator. So Brahma has been given, and then now when Brahma is created, Brahma has been given the position of creation. This is the first time ever he is going to start creating. How does he know what a cow means? How does he know what a dog looks like? How does he know a human should be? How does he know Devata and Gandharva should be? How should be a tree look like? How does he know all these things? Because this is the first time he is going to create. Where does he get the information from? That is where the Vedas comes into existence for the Brahma to refer and see, okay, human means this, cow means this, trees are like this, aquatics are like this, and reptiles are like this. So he referred to the Vedas, which is being imparted to him. And then through that Veda, he start creating the living entities. Vedas, that's how we start creating the living entities. And this is called Shabda Pramanam. We have no way of otherwise understanding these things which cannot be perceived through our senses. Why do I have to believe? Well, we believe many things in our life. Many things we believe in our life which we have not seen. I was with one of someone over the weekend. He said, "Do you know this place where is the very most tasty mangoes or get produced?" I said, "Where?" He said, "Kenya. Kenya is a place where the most tastiest mangoes get exported to different places." Well, I have to trust that person because first thing is I've never been to Kenya. I never tasted those mangoes. Even if I tasted those mangoes, I don't know if it's coming from Kenya. But this person came from Kenya. Therefore, I have a trust in him that I have to simply accept what he says. Simply accept what he says. Even though I've not seen, I've not been there. Therefore, we should have faith in the great sages and saints that they have seen the Vedas. When I say seen the Vedas, they have completely realized what Vedas are through tapobalam or through the mercy of the Lord himself. Therefore, we completely trust in the great sages when they refer to Vedas. So Pramanam, we saw about the Pramanam. The another thing is this Vedas, how big is the Vedas? Anantavai Vedaha. Anantavai Vedaha means Vedas cannot be measured. How we cannot measure the glories of the Lord. We cannot measure how big the Vedas are. Vedas are huge. That's all we can say. For just to give an example, I'll tell one small story. One time, Bharadwaja Muni was studying Vedas, and it was time for him to leave his body. His time was coming to an end. At that time, he prayed to Indra, and Indra appeared in front of him, and he said, "What boon do you want?" He said, "Give me another 100 years." And Indra said, "Tathastu, so be it." And then 100 years, Bharadwaja Muni was reading the scriptures again. Again means the new scriptures. And then he was now 200 days over. Indra came. He said, "Can you give another 100 years more?" He said, "No problem, take another 100 years. And then he again was studying whatever is left out. And as the year was getting closer for him to leave the body, then Indra came. He said, "What do you want now? Give me another 100 years. I have not finished yet. I think I'm very close. I'll be done in this set of 100 years. And Indra laughed at him and said, "Would you please come with me?" And then he took Bharadwaja Muni and he went to a place and he showed him in front of him 3 big mountains where you cannot find where it's the top is, the tip of the mountain is. It was so huge mountain. And Indra went to close to that mountain. He picked one full hand of sand over there and placed from each of those mountains. And he told, "You know what this is?" And Bharadwaja said, "Yeah, I can understand. These are some collections from that mountain." Well, what you have read in 300 years is equal to the size of what you see in front of you. What you have not read so far, the size of these mountains. When are you going to finish Vedas? That is the size of the Vedas. When are you going to complete Vedas? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen in that way. Therefore, start practicing. You can keep on studying so many scripture after scripture after scripture after scripture after scripture. But you got to do something. You got to start somewhere. You cannot wait for your education to get completed and start practicing. The practice and education go parallelly, hand in hand. If you're waiting for finishing of the course, finishing of something, and then start chanting, start practicing devotional service, that's never going to happen because the scriptures are huge. You cannot measure how much we have. So what are these Vedas? Vedas are the knowledge, the laws given to mankind by the Lord himself. It's not created by anyone. It is anadi. It's never have a starting point. It is eternally present. So these are the basics that we need to understand. Now Vedas are four: Rik, Yajus, Sama, Atharvana. These are the four Vedas. Now, as I said, what has been said is there are Shaka. Shaka means branches. There are 21 Shakas in Rig Veda. Yajurveda has 101. Samaveda is the biggest one, which has 1,000. Atharvana has 9. But unfortunately, we don't have everything that's been told now in this numbers. We have only 3 Samavedas out of 1,000. Likewise, we have only 3 or 4 in Rig, Yajus, and so forth. We don't have the complete numbers that have been presented here. Even to finish what we have, this lifetime is not enough. What to speak about, even if we get this 1,101 and 21 and 9 shakas of the Vedas, there's no way we can do anything. Therefore, we just try to understand the Vedas are big, huge, immeasurable, and whatever we have is only limited. Even that limited for us to understand and study, this lifetime is not enough. Therefore, we, with the limited time that we have, we understand the essence of these Vedas with the guidance of Acharya, with the guidance of Gurus, and try to practice in our life. Now, what about these Vedas? How these Vedas are divided? They are divided into 2 parts. One is called Purva Kanda, another one is called Uttara Kanda. The Purva Kanda is called upper part of the Vedas, and Uttara is the later part of the Vedas. Now, these Vedas can be categorized into 3 or 4 portions: Mantra, Brahmana, Aranyaka, and Upanishads. Sometimes the Aranyaka falls within a subcategory of Brahmana. We are only seeing, this is a crash course of introduction to the philosophy of different schools of thought. So we are not going into all the nitty-gritty details of everything. So please, if you have questions, you can write down and we can talk about this later. So this mantra and Brahmana portion, Aranya portion, is covered in the Purva Kanda, whereas the Upanishad, which is also called Vedanta, is covered in the portion of Uttara Kanda. Purva Kanda is nothing but the Karma. Karma Kanda section is called Purva Kanda, another name. Karma Kanda means where how to perform certain worship, the procedures to worship, Aradhana. Aradhana means worship. How to perform certain pujas, certain yaga, certain yagyas. That's all covered in the Karma Kanda part. Now, the Uttara Kanda, which is also known as Brahma Kanda or Jnana Kanda, is not Aradhya. Aradhya means in the Purva Kanda, Karma Kanda, the worship, the method of worship is being told. Whom to be worshipped is told in the Uttara Kanda. Therefore, Aradhana is Karma Kanda. Aradhya means whom to be worshipped through the procedures that's been told in the Karma Kanda is mentioned here in the Uttara Kanda, which is known as Jnana Kanda or Brahma Kanda. This is a portion of Upanishad. Veda Anta means the concluding part, the end of Vedas. The essence of the Vedas is called Vedanta. This is Uttara Kanda, and Upanishads are called Vedanta. Now that we understood what Vedas are for, and they are 3 portions, and they are two groups or two parts, Purva and Uttara. That is also called as Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda or Upanishads. Now we need to understand something called Vedangas. These Vedas are not created, but Vedangas are created by the sages. The Veda Angas are nothing but they are the limbs of the Vedas to protect the Vedas. To protect the Vedas in three ways. What are the three ways? To preserve and protect the words in the Vedas. The Vedas has so many words in it, right? A collections of letters makes a word. A collections of word makes a sentence, which is mantra, right? Therefore, to preserve the mantras as it is, the Vedangas are there, and to protect the meaning of the mantras. Otherwise, people may start misinterpreting the Veda mantras. Therefore, to protect the meaning, we need to have something, and to protect how to perform what has been told in the Vedas, to protect that performance of that yaga, yagya, that is another protection. For these three reasons, there are 6 angas are there. Siksha, Chandaha, Vyakarana, Niruktam, Kalpa, Jyotisham. These are the 6 angas called Vedangas. Vedangas. Remember, this whole introduction course is going to talk about the 18 sthanam, Veda sthanam, or 18 seat of knowledge, right? So this is all part of that one. We saw 4 Vedas. Now we are seeing 6 Vedangas, which is going to make 10. And then the rest of the 8 is coming later. So how does it protect in these 3 ways? The first thing is to preserve and protect the words. Siksha has been given. Siksha is nothing but to learn the pronunciation of the letters. Right? So when we read the slokas, we have to be very careful where to stress, how to pronounce certain letters. This is the pronunciation. If you're not able to pronounce, say, Atmava, Atma. If you especially change that into English, the problem is A-T-M-A. That's what we say. When you give someone who has no knowledge of Sanskrit or never exposed to Sanskrit, if you tell, can you please read A-T-M-A, Atma, Atma, they'll tell Atma. But it's not Atma, it's Atma. But when you actually read from Sanskrit, there is A, there is A. And then like that, sh, different types of sounds are there, right? So how to pronounce these letters? That is called Siksha. Because if we pronounce the mantras wrongly, and not only that we won't get the result, we will get punished for that. Therefore, we should be very careful how we pronounce the mantras, the slokas, and so forth. Chandaha. Chandaha means every slokas, every sentences, statements, a padam, a line, must have certain numbers of alphabet. That makes chandas. There are different chandas. Gayatri is chanda. Gayatri is another one. Anushtu chandaha, Brishtu chandaha, and many chandahas are there. Therefore, a certain number collected to get a statement or a line of a verse must have certain number in alphabet in it. That defines a chandas. So that has been preserved. The words are preserved through siksha and chandas. Next is the meaning. The meaning of the slokas has to be protected. That is through Vyakaranam. Vyakarana, to identify the components of a word and their meaning. To understand the meaning, what the meaning, one may read Sanskrit very well, but they may not even be able to understand what it tells. Therefore, the meaning should be understood. That is through the Vyakaranam. These are the granthas written by the great sages, how to understand the Vedas in a proper meaning. So we have to study Vyakaranam. And there are certain words, even in the Sanskrit, which we cannot easily understand. There are complex words. For that, we need dictionaries. Niruktam. Niruktam is nothing but which gives the meaning of a complex words. We don't need to start thinking or making assumptions. Maybe this must be this one. We don't need to make any assumptions. Rather making assumption, open up Niruktam, it will tell, okay, Brahmam. Brahmam means that which is big, that which is make you big when you associate with it. That is called Brahmam. That's the meaning of Brahmam. Otherwise, Brahmam could confuse people of something else. So Niruktam is another one. So Shiksha, Chandasu, to preserve and protect the words. Vyakaranam, Niruktam, to protect the meaning of the slokas. And the next is, we know how to read slokas, we know the chandas, we know the meaning of it, we even know the complex words of the Sanskrit. Now we need to do something about it. We need to do something about it, right? So we need to know how to do certain things. By the way, the Vedas, sometimes the way that Vedas sell certain things, the procedure to do may not be in the sequence. Therefore, the Kalpa helps us to put things into sequence in a proper way. Krishna also tells in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, spread the deer skin, right? And then Kushagas. He changes, when he says, you have to put a deer skin on top of the kushagrass, you sit and meditate on the tip of your nose. Well, if you sit on the kushagrass, it's going to poke you. How can you focus in meditation on the tip of your nose when it's going to poke? Therefore, Artha Kramam is, even though the words are in this sequence, even though it is said that put the deer skin and on top of the kushagrass, you sit and meditate, use the Artha Kramam and change the sequence of the words. Say that on top of the kushagrass, spread the deer skin and then sit on top of it. How do we know that? That's where the Kalpa comes. Kalpa Shastram tells how to understand the procedure in a proper sequence to perform your puja, yaga, and yagya. That protects the performance. And then not only knowing the procedure, how to perform the sequence is enough, we also must know when to perform that. The right time, anything that we do, yaga, yagya, puja, and things like that, it has to be done at the right time. If you're doing in a wrong time, if we try to do the thing in a wrong time, we're not going to get the right result. If doctor is telling us, in the morning, you take this green tablet. In the afternoon, you take this white tablet. In the night before going to sleep, take this yellow tablet. Because I forgot in the morning to take the green tablet, it doesn't mean that I can shift and start taking in another time. Because the doctor knows why you have to take the green tablet at that particular time. It has some impact in the morning for you to take that one. We cannot change the prescription. Likewise, even though we know Sanskrit, we know Siksha, Chandasu, Vyakarana, Niruktam, and Kalpam, we need to know when to apply these things. Jyotism comes into the picture. What is that? Jyotism means usually people think, oh, should I go out of the house or not? Should I sit now and read this one or not? Should I call that person or not? Is this Monday morning or Saturday morning is good for me? See your Rasi and Palam, right, in the newspaper. That is not the purpose of Jyotism at all. Literally, it's not. The purpose of Jyotism is to perform our devotional service in the right time. That is why Jyotism is there. When you have to do certain puja, Jyotism is what tells us Ekadeshi is tomorrow. You got to fast on Ekadeshi. Dvadeshi is after that. You have to break your fast on this particular time. This is all coming from Jyotism. Unfortunately, what's happening nowadays is that Jyotism taken into completely different direction. For anything and everything, we refer to Jyotism. But the idea of Jyotism is for us to perform our devotional service in a right way. Therefore, we saw 4 Vedas. Now, 4 Vedas are not created by anyone. It is eternal. It is a law book for the mankind. And to support the Vedas, to preserve and protect the Vedas, we have 6 Vedas, Veda Angas, which is Siksha, Chandaha, Vyakarana, Niruktam, Kalpam, Jyotisam. So these are the 6 ones. Now, the important thing is that we need to understand this. The Veda says, Atmavare Drishtavyah, Shrottavyo, Mantavyaha, Nididhyasti Tavyaha. What Shastra says is one has to understand Atma, Paramatma, the Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart. How do we understand? Drishtavyah. You see the Atma. When I say Atma is the Supreme Lord, Paramatma. Once you see the Atma, Then you start hearing about him. Then you contemplate about him. Then you meditate about him, upon him. This is a sequence has been given. This is exactly what I was telling previously, that the Kalpa Shastra, we tell them what is the sequence you have to do. Over here, one may ask, if I already seen the Lord, then where is the question of listening and contemplation and meditation? Right? It is not needed. Therefore, based on the Artha Kramam, we have to do the Artha Kramam here. That is, we cannot see the Lord. We have to change the sequence over here. The sight, Drashtavam, comes last. The first thing comes is Shrotravyam. Shrotravyam is to listen, to start listening first. And once we start listening from a guru, from an acharya, it's not end of it. We have to start mantavyaha. We have to start contemplating of what we heard. Once we go to the school, we come out of the school and we open the book only next day morning when we go to the school. But when it comes to the spiritual learning, it doesn't end there. We go to a guru, we learn from a guru, an acharya, a teacher. Whatever we learn, after the class, we have to start contemplating of what we heard. My guru said like this. Why not like that? How can he say like this? Maybe this is why he said that one. I still did not understand what he said. Maybe I have to write down these questions. Let me ask him tomorrow when I go to him. So this is called contemplation. That without the contemplation, we cannot get realization. We have to contemplate of what we heard, what we studied on a regular basis. When we contemplate, then what happens is as we more contemplate and contemplate, when our confusions are gone, when we are clear with the subject matter, then we start meditating upon that subject matter, the object of meditation. That object which we are contemplating through the listening process becomes the focal point of our meditation. When we start meditating upon that object, nothing else being seen other than that particular object. We don't see anything outside of that object. The only object of my meditation is being seen to me within my heart. When we have that vision, we drashtavyaha. That's when we are able to see the Lord within our heart. Why am I talking about these things here at this point? Because by Vedas, what happens is in those days, Vedangas were not necessary. Vedangas were not necessary. The Siksha, Chandasa, Vyakarna, Nirukti, Kalpa, and Jyotisam was not necessary. Because in those days, the great sages were so knowledgeable, so skilled, so blessed. They don't need these things to be read. But over the period of the time, what happened, even among the great sages, they needed some tools to understand the Vedas, understand the meaning of the Vedas, understand the pronunciation of the Vedas, understand how to perform what's been told in the Vedas. They also wanted these things. Therefore, later, the Vedangas came into existence. The Vedangas are nothing but to help us in the four-step process over here that's been mentioned here. The Vedangas are there to help us only to focus our listening capacity. Out of this four, the Vedangas helps us in the listening process. All the six that I mentioned is driving how we can increase our capacity of focused hearing. Siksha, Chandasa, and then Vyakarana, and so forth, all helps us to listening. Now, what is it going to help us on contemplating? We have to contemplate on what we heard, right? Unless we contemplate, we cannot meditate. If our meditation doesn't become an unalloyed, complete focused meditation without any disturbance, we won't be able to see the Lord. Therefore, contemplation is important. How are we going to contemplate? To support our contemplation, there are upangas. Upa-anga means the sub-angas. For the Vedangas, we have upa-anga, upa-brahmana. Upa-brahmana means when we call a brahmana to do a yagya, he comes with a small boy, upa-brahmana, an assistant. Assistant he brings to perform. Hey, take that and keep it here. Do this one here. Take that pot and keep it here. Put this one. He tells these things. The Brahmana trains that person and to assist him also, right? The Upa-Brahmana comes. Likewise, for us to contemplate of what we heard with the assistance of the Vedanga to understand the Vedas, Upanga comes into the picture. What are the Upanga? How many Upangas are there? 8 in numbers. Puranam, Nyaya Shastram, Mimamsa Shastram, Dharma Shastram, Ayurveda, Dhanurveda, Gandharva Veda, Arthashastram. These are the 8 Upangas. We'll just go through. This is not our course, our topic to spend a lot of time. This is just an overview. Then we'll go through what these Upangas are. Puranam. Atta Sarga Vishargascha Sthanam Poshanam Utaya Manvantrani. Now here in what is Puranam is called. Puranam is that which has the 10 Lakshanam. Sarga, Visarga, Sthanam, Poshanam, Utaha, Manvantra, Ishanukata, Nirodha, Mukti, Ashraya. These 10 is what makes a Puranam complete Puranam. That is how the creation happens. How the secondary creations happen. How this thing is maintained. How one gets into the bhakti. How one can get rid of the karma. What are the different kings who ruled, manvantras? What are the pastimes of the Lord? What are the obstacles that we have? And all those things. How to one attain mukti, and what is the ultimate way to attain mukti? These are all discussed in the Puranas. This is what discussed in the Puranas. That's as we can see that this is all helps us to contemplate on the Supreme Lord. When we read Puranas, unknowingly we are contemplating on what has been told in the Vedas, which is establishing the supremacy of the Lord. Nyaya Shastra. Nyaya Shastra is to understand the nature of any object. A cow, for example. How do you define a cow? When we define a cow, that cow should be different. The definition of a cow should be different from something else, right? If I'm going to tell, can you explain cow? Or say, can you explain dog, right? For that matter, I'm going to tell it's a 4-legged animal. Well, it's not only dog has 4 legs, cow has a 4-leg, elephant has a 4-leg. Therefore, how can you define just by saying dog which has 4 legs? There should be something different definition has to be given to uniquely identify this is called dog, this is called cow, this is called cat, this is called human, right? That is where the Nyaya Shastra comes as to help how to define an object, how to define a nature of an object with logics, with a proper logics. That is Nyaya Shastra. Therefore, Nyaya Shastra should not be rejected. Nyaya Shastra should be understood and learned, in fact, for us to understand how God can be defined from anything else, right? You can apply the same logic. If you are going to tell God is very powerful, well, the president of this country is also powerful. Well, God has lot of money. He has lot of wealth. Well, so-and-so is also has lot of money. Well, he is great. He can do mystic things. Well, yogis are there who can do mystic things. Lord can divide into different bodies. Well, Saubhari Muni also divided into different bodies. So you have to define the Lord in such a way that he is not equal to anyone. He is not greater than, there is no one greater than him. Nyaya Shastra come into the picture of helping us to define that object, its nature of the object. That is Nyaya Shastra. Mimamsam. Mimamsam Mimamsa means, first of all, the meaning of Mimamsa is to analyze, to investigate an object which is superior. An object under the investigation. The object which is superior is under the investigation. This is called Mimamsa. Okay. Mimamsa means to analyze or investigate the Vedas. How to analyze what is told in the Vedas. That is Mimamsa Shastra. Dharma Shastra. A conduct of how a person should lead his life, how a husband should be, how a wife should be, how a parent should be, how a children should be, how a king should be, how a citizen should be, how a guru should behave, how a disciple should behave, how a brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, shudra, they should behave, how a person who is a grahastha should behave, vanaprastha, brahmachari, and sannyas. All those details are there in Dharma Shastra. This is another upanga. It tells the details of how one should conduct in their life. Ayurveda. Well, I understand Puranas, I understand Nyaya Shastra, I understand Mimamsa Shastra, I understand Dharma Shastra. Has to do all those things that has been told and heard and things, we need to have a good health. If we don't have a good health, we cannot do anything. If we go and sit to do a puja, you get headache. I can't do anything now. You get a stomach ache. That is when you have to run out to do something else. When you're sitting right in front of the deity, that's when you have to run and take shower. That means what? We are not taking care of our health properly. How do we understand this? To keep our health body, because body is a vehicle for us to attain the Lord. This body should not be neglected. It has to be taken care in such a way that it's been prescribed in the Vedas. That Veda is Ayurveda. The Ayurveda tells us how we can safeguard our body to perform devotional service nicely. The another is Dhanurveda. Dhanurveda is how a person who's in a leadership position, can protect the kingdom, their kingdom. That is Dhanurveda. How he should protect, what all the plannings he needs to do to protect his citizen and so forth. Because every one of us need someone as a leader to protect us so that we can continue our devotional service. Therefore, the leaders need some information on that. That is Dhanurveda. Gandharva Veda. Gandharva Veda is to calm our mind. You go and sit in the kirtan. How do we feel like? You fought with someone, you have some arguments and some clash, some conflicts, but then you come to the temple and kirtan is going on, you sit over there, you become very peaceful. Mind is so peace. Therefore, music, dance, especially the music, the Sankeetam, the Kirtan, attracts one's mind and pull one mind come to a stable, calm state. Gandharva Veda. Arthashastra is how a leader should rule. The first one, Dhanurveda, is to how to protect. And Arthashastra, how a leader should conduct himself as a leader, how he should rule, is prajas, his citizen. So therefore, this is called Upa Anga, 8 Upa Anga. Puranam, Nyaya Shastra, Mimamsam, Dharma Shastra, Ayurveda, Dhanurveda, Gandharva Veda, Arthashastra, which is 8 in number. And we saw Veda Angas, 6 in number. Siksha, we saw here, we saw Siksha, Chandaha, Vyakarana, Niruktam, Kalpa, Jyotisham. And we also saw 4 Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvana Veda. So 4 plus 6, that is 10, plus 8, which is 18. This is called altogether the 18 seeds of knowledge. Angani Vedaha Chatvaraha Vemamsa Nyaya Vistaraha Puranam Dharmashastram cha Vidya Hetaha Chaturdasa. Ayurvedaha Dhanurvedaha Gandharvas Chaiva Te Trayaha Arthashastram Chaturtam Tu Vidyahi Ashtadasyaiva Taha. In Vishnu Puranam, this has been mentioned as 18 seeds of knowledge. Okay. And of all the things that we said now, this 18 seeds of knowledge, one may ask a question, what is considered to be the superior one of this 18 things that we spoke about? What is superior? The superior is always Vedas. Satyam Satyam Punat Satyam Mudritya Bujya Muchyate. Veda Shastram Param Nati Nad Devam Keshavat Param. This is told in Mahabharata by Veda Vyasa himself. Raising my arms up, I declare on oath that there is no scripture text greater than Vedas, and no deity superior to Keshava. Again and again, this is the truth. This is the truth. This is the truth. Satyam Satyam Punah Satyam Udritya Bujjam Uchyate. I raising my hands, I completely say that, confidently say that this is the truth. That is, Vedas are the superior of all the scriptures, and Keshava of all gods. Keshava is a superior deity. Vedesya sarvair ahameva vedya vedanta krit veda videva chaham. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in the 15th chapter of 15th sloka, where he says, of all the Vedas, I am to be known. Therefore, we should understand of all the Vedas, whatever knowledge we gain, whatever we study, ultimately, the essence of all the Vedas is to understand Krishna as absolute truth. And he is the one who is going to give us the result of Anta. Vedanta, the result that's been told in the Vedas is not given by anyone else, but Krishna is the one who gives the result of the Vedas when we perform the rites and rituals and whatever has been told in the Vedas. Who is the one who's going to give the result? It is Krishna who gives the result. Therefore, Krishna is what is the subject matter of Vedas. Krishna is the one should be worshipped. Krishna is the one who is going to give the result of our worship, whatever we pray for. This is the Vedas as superior. Now, This is all about the 18 seeds of knowledge, 4 Vedas, 6 Vedangas, and 8 Upangas. All together is called the scriptures. We need to be well aware of what is there. And now with that said, now we are going to go into a religion. This is all philosophy we spoke so far. Now we are getting into the religion. Shat Matam, Shat Darshanam. These are the two terms that we need to get familiar also. Sat Matam means there are 6 religions. Of course, now we are hundreds of religions, but recognized religions in the history of Sanatana Dharma are 6 in numbers. And the recognized philosophies or darshana by which the sages saw the truth. Darshana means they saw the truth in certain ways. That's called Sad Darshana. What are the 6 religions? Vaishnavism, Shaivism, Shaktam, Sauryam, Ghanapatyam, Skandham. Religion and philosophy go together. The faith on a certain deity and a philosophy, one philosophy can be matched with multiple deities. It's one to many. If you know this, there's something called one to one, many to one, and one to many. Likewise, philosophy can be one, but the religion that following one philosophy can be many. Okay, that could be one philosophy, many religions. For example, one philosophy that one person may adopt is that, say Advaitam. Advaitam could be one philosophy, a school of thought, but there could be different branches of religion that may fall into this Advaita philosophy. Okay? Vaishnavism, there could be a Vaishnavism, and the Vaishnavism, they have Vishnu as the worshipable deity. Right? That is Vaishnavism. Shaivism, where Shaivism is a religion where consider Lord Shiva as a supreme worshipable deity. He is the Paramatma, he is supreme. Saktam, Shakti. Shakti is the feminine aspect of Lord Shiva, Mother Parvati, Mother Durga, Kali, however the different names she has, right? So Shaktam is considering her Devi as a supreme absolute truth. That's their religion. Sauryam, the sun god, like Karna, for an example, for Karna, Surya is the ultimate god for him, right? So Sauryam is one who believes and have faith that Surya, the Surya god, is the ultimate truth. Ghanapatyam, Ganesh, Ganapati, right? Vinayaka, Ghanapati. Ghanapati is the absolute truth. And then Skandam is Lord Kartikeya, Muruga, he has Skanda, different names he has. So him to be the supreme absolute truth. So you can see these 6. Nowadays, you don't see much of these things as Sauryam. In practice, by the way, you don't see Saktam, Sauryam, Ghanapatyam, Skandham. They have, but they don't follow so strictly. But what we see in practice now is Vaishnavism, Shaivism, or the two. But others are there, Saktam, Sauryam, but they have a mixed understanding of the theory. Even though they have faith in Mother Durga, they may also worship other devatas. Likewise, Ghanapatyam, they also do Ganapati puja, but also do other pujas and consider everyone equal to Ganapati. Likewise, they equalize all the gods nowadays. But in those days, they were very strict in their religion of following these 6 things. Now on your right side, what you're seeing are 6 schools of the 6 Sad Darshana. By the way, it is not one-to-one here. Please do not understand that Vaishnavism is philosophy is Nyaya, Shaivism philosophy is Vaisheshika, Saktam philosophy is Sankhya, Saurya philosophy, it is not like that. It's totally 2 different things. Religions are 6, Sadmatam and Sadharshana. This philosophy that we are going to talk now is totally not based on this one, but there are some links though. We'll talk about that a little later. Okay, what are this Sadharshana? Nyaya Shastram. the founder of Nyaya, Gautama Rishi. The philosophy is that a logic, we already spoke about this in just a couple of slides back. It's the same thing. The philosophy of logic based on the atom as a cause. Atom is the cause of this creation. One atom is a cause, atom is a cause of this creation. That is their philosophy. How do we understand? Logically, you can understand. Everything has an atom. You just cut down everything from one. You're cutting everything to break down everything into pieces. Finally, what you get is an atom. I'm telling atom in English. I know that there are particles smaller than atom also. In Sanskrit, atom and the anu is not the same. The atom we speak in English and anu in Sanskrit is not one and the same. Anu is so minute than the atom. I am just picked here as atom just for us to understand, but it is much minute than the atom, anu. So the anu, which cannot be divided any further, that is the cause of this entire creation that we see. You can logically apply and understand. That is Nyaya Shastra. Vaisheshika Shastra is Kannada. Kannada is the Rishi, the philosophy of a specialized logic. He goes little more saying that it's a combination of atom, which is what makes this entire creation. By the way, all the schools of thought can be a presentation and a session by itself, but that's not our focus. We have to get to the main topic from next week. But this is all the preparation to understand where we are heading to in our school, various schools of thought. This is all going to help us. So Vaisheshika is a combination and interaction between the atoms, which is what the cause of this creation. And then the third one is Sankhya philosophy, Kapila philosophy and analytical study through the matters. There are matters which you can see, the earth, water, air, fire, ether, and all those different prakriti. The prakriti is made of all these 24 elements. These 24 elements, a combination of these 24 elements is what makes this creation. And that is the cause of everything that's happening. Sankhya philosophy, Kapila. Again, within the Sankhya, there are different schools of thought. That's not what we are going to cover here. Yoga Shastram is quite famous. This is at least we cannot much find who are the Vaisheshikas, who are the Sankhyas, and mAyAvAda so much. But Yoga Shastra is so very popular all over the world by Patanjali. The philosophy of this school of thought is perfecting yourself by postures, by asanas, some certain niyama, following certain rules and regulation. This is through by this understanding and coming to a realization of yourself. That is Yoga Shastra, Patanjali. Now, the last one is called Mimamsa. Mimamsa is divided into two. One is called Purva Mimamsa. Another one is called Uttara Mimamsa. Purva Mimamsa is found as Jaimini Muni. Jaimini, the philosophy of actions and reactions. That is, he focuses on the Karma Kanda portion. If you remember, in one of the slides we showed here, over here, that is Purva Kanda and then Uttara Kanda. Jaimini Muni focus this both together, Vedas both together is Mimamsam, but then the Karma Kanda portion, which is focused by Jaimini Muni is Karma Kanda, Purva Mimamsa. That is called Purva Mimamsa, how to perform Yaga, Yagya, Puja, and so forth. That is Purva Mimamsa. Uttara Mimamsa, going back here, Uttara Mimamsa is nothing but the Vedanta. This is where we are coming to a conclusion of our presentation. Vedanta. Uttara Mimamsa is the Vedanta, is called Uttara Mimamsa, and Badarayana. Badarayana is none other than Vedavyasa. Vedavyasa is philosophy of bhakti, establishing the supremacy and position and the greatness and the opulences of that one Lord. That is focused on the Vedanta, which is nothing but Upanishad. So again, you have 6 of this different darshana: Nyaya Darshana, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Purva Mimamsa, and Uttara Mimamsa. Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa go together. It is not you can reject the Purva Mimamsa and take Uttara Mimamsa, because for us to do Uttara Mimamsa, Atato Brahma Jignasa, this is the very first sutram in Vedanta Sutra. Therefore, what it says is, therefore start inquiring about Brahman. That's the very first sutram. Therefore means what? We must have, that there should have been some content before this sutram. Therefore, you start doing this mean that therefore refers to Purva Mimamsa. The Purva Mimamsa is also very important to understand how to do certain activities in devotional service. Therefore, it is important. Therefore, after understanding those things in the Purva Mimamsa, now come to a point of understanding and inquiring about the Brahman. Atato Dharma Jignasa. If you read the first sutra of Purva Mimamsa by Jaimini, he says Atato Dharma Jignasa. That is his first sutram. When you come to Badarayana's Vedanta Sutram, the first sutram says Atato Brahma Jignasa. So we can see that the connection between the darshanas also over here. Okay. Now, what we saw here so far is orthodox religions. Orthodox religion meaning those religion which follows the Vedas and refer the Vedas. Some of these religion, not religion, some of this darshana, by the way, when I say religion, all this religion that's mentioned on the left-hand side, Vaishnavism, Saivism, Saktam, Sauryam, Ganapatyam, Skandam, they all believe in Vedas. They all believe in God. Whereas the Sadharshana, Nyayam, Vaisheshikam, Sankhya, Yoga, Purva Mimamsa, and Vedanta, Uttara Mimamsa, they also follow Vedas, but some of them pick and choose what's there in the Vedas. They not necessarily accept the entire content of Vedas as it is. They pick and choose what there in the Vedas. Even some of them doesn't even though they accept Vedas and pick and choose, some of them does not accept the presence of Ishvara, the supreme controller, the Lord, existence of the Lord. They don't even agree to that one. But as I said, this course is not about comparing the religion, comparing the different schools of thought. That's not the purpose of this one. This is to give an idea of what's in there in the Sanatana Dharma market. That's all it is. Okay. Now we have seen the orthodox religion which believes in the Vedas and believes in God. Some of them doesn't believe in, that doesn't matter, but still they believe in the Vedas. So they all fall into the orthodox religion, schools of thought. Now there is another group of religions called heterodox. Heterodox means are these three religions, three philosophies. They are Buddhism, Jainism, ChArvAka. Buddhist philosophy, Jainisa philosophy, ChArvAka philosophy. They do not agree to Vedas. They do not agree to God. You may be wondering, really? I've seen this mandir, that mandir, Buddhist has a mandir, Jain mandir, and so forth. Of course, ChArvAka doesn't even worry about temples. They don't even worry about those things. At least we have seen these temples in for this top category. Yes, but these are all place for them to practice their religion. It doesn't mean that they believe in the Vedas. They believe in the what is said in the Vedas, existence of the God, existence of God. What is Buddhism philosophy? Sunyavadam. Sunyavadam is completely zero. Nothing exists. Everything is zero. That is Sunyavadam. And what about the Jainism? Jainism also has this called Saptabhangivada. Saptabhangivada, Shad Asti, Shad Nasti, and Shad Asticha Nasticha. Like that, they have seven different permutation and combination that they say that God, it may exist, may not exist, may exist, may not exist. If it exists, accept it as it exists. If it doesn't exist, accept it doesn't exist. These are different combinations, permutation combination is called Jainism theory or philosophy, Saptabhangivada. And then ChArvAka philosophy, as I said, there's a supplementary course on these three schools of thought at the end. So we can discuss more on that when we get to this schools of thought. The ChArvAka philosophy, Pratyakshavadam. Pratyakshavadam is show me. You said God exists, show me. You say Atma exists, show me. You said there's a previous Janma, tell me what were you in your previous Janma. So they ask this question, you better show me to make me to believe. If you don't show me, if I don't see it, I don't believe in anything. Right? Live life king size as long as in this world. Therefore, that is ChArvAka philosophy. They don't believe in any of these things. That is ChArvAka philosophy. They are fall into the heterodox religions. Three religion, three things. Now, With that said, as I said, these 6 schools of darshana, our focus is on the last one called Vedanta Uttaramimamsa. It is done by Veda Vyasa, Badarayana Veda Vyasa. Veda Vyasa. Vedanta is the essence of the Vedas. It is considered to be the topmost philosophy. It's considered the topmost philosophy. Nothing. Excuse me. I don't know how to stop this. One second. Sorry about it. Sorry about it. Are you still able to hear me?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Vedanta. The Vedanta is Vedanta is what the topic for our discussion going forward. That is the essential part of the Vedas, considered the topmost philosophy than any other darshana that we saw by Veda Vyasa. To support that, Prasthanatraya. Prasthanatraya means Bhagavad Gita, that which supports on the Vedanta or the Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutra, and Upanishads. The whole idea of Vedanta, supported by Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutra, and Upanishad, is simply for us to get delivered from this world, attain mukti, and engage in the eternal service of the Lord. That is the whole purpose of what is being told in Vedanta, which has been again elaborated in Bhagavad Gita and Brahma Sutra and Upanishad. Now, this Vedanta that we just spoke here, Vedanta, the Upanishad part, and which is being given as a darshan by Veda Vyasa in Brahma Sutra. This Brahma Sutra is taken by the various acharyas and interpreted in certain ways to support their philosophy. That is called Vedanta SiddHantam. SiddHantam means their establishment of their philosophy. This Vedanta SiddHanta is of 2 categories: absolutism or theism. Absolutism is the truth is impersonal. Okay, who doesn't have a form, who doesn't have a name, who doesn't have a qualities, who doesn't have any of these things. It is there. We cannot describe what it is, but it is there. We cannot describe it. Anirvachaniyam. Anirvachaniyam means that which cannot be described. So that school, that category is called absolutism, who also takes their school of thought to support their school of thought from the Vedanta Sutram. They fall under the Vedanta SiddHanta. And there's another group of category of SiddHanta, which is theism. Theism means they believe in the truth of person. That absolute truth, that unseen can be seen, that unheard can be heard, that untouched can be touched. That person is a person, and he has a name, he has a form, he has a qualities, he has his own abode, he has everything for that matter. So that is a theism school of thoughts. So we categorize, let me one more time summarize this one. It's very important to understand. The Vedas are the base. So to support the Vedas, Vedangas are there for us to easily understand the Vedas. And to understand the Vedas further, to contemplate, we have Upangas. And the Upangas, by the Upangas, we start contemplating. And then through the contemplation, we can attain and we can see the Lord. But these Vedas are again divided into 2 parts, Purva Bhaga, Uttara Bhaga. Purva Bhaga speaks about the Karma Kanda session, how to perform certain things. And Uttara Bhaga talks about whom to perform those worship. This Uttara Bhaga, again, considered as the Upanishad, the VedAnta. This VedAnta is taken as a darshan by Veda Vyasa, and he has given Vedanta Sutram. Okay. This Upanishad is capsulized is made into small, nice, small format of aphorism, and then made into small statement called Vedanta Sutram. This Vedanta Sutram is taken as a Siddhantam by different schools of thought of acharyas, which can be categorized into two schools of thoughts: absolutism and theism. Absolutism is one who takes the same Vedanta Sutram, Vedanta Upanishad, and tells that the absolute truth is impersonal. Whereas the same Upanishad, same Vedanta Sutram, taken by another set of schools of thought or philosopher or acharyas, and they say the absolute truth is a person. He has a name and form thing. Now, within this theism, even though the theism has agreed that the Lord has a form, Lord has a name and so forth, and Jivatma and Paramatma are separate, whereas in absolutism, the Jivatma and Paramatma are one and the same, whereas in theism, Jivatma and Paramatma are separate. They have their own differences. Now, what we are going to see in our next class to start with is this one, absolutism. Okay, the truth is impersonal. Truth is impersonal. Non-dualism is called Advaitam. We'll talk more about this one in our next session. Whereas in theism, even though they agreed that God has a form, Jivatma and Paramatma are separate, there are differences even in their schools of thought, which makes their uniqueness. They are very special in their philosophy that differ from the other school of thought within the theism. That is what this whole course is going to be all about. So we are going to see what are the different schools of thought, starting from Advaita philosophy, how Advaita philosophy can also be considered, categorized into the Vaishnavism, and how the other schools of thought who does believe in the personal form of the Lord, but they vary in their certain principles. What are the different principles that they vary? Those are the things going to be coming up. So to summarize what we have covered today, anything to cognize, to understand, there should be a pramanam. Pramanam is nothing but a tool for us to understand a particular object. And there are three pramanam: pratyaksha pramanam, anuman pramanam, and shabda pramanam. Pratyaksha through the senses or non-senses. Anumanam through our inference, through our previous experience. Shabda pramanam not through our senses, not through some mystic power, not through by anumanam inference, but through the scriptures, through the Vedas. And what are the Vedas? Vedas are the law for the mankind. And who wrote the Vedas? No one wrote the Vedas. When was it created then? No one created this one. When is the expiry date, or when are we going to get a new edition of Vedas? Well, there is no changes to Vedas because it is eternal. It's not created. It is in the heart of the Lord, and it's been imparted and given to the first citizen, Brahma. Brahma, using the Vedas, he further creates this world according to one's karma. And that's how that Vedas is again given to the sages and rishis. That Vedas then imparted to the disciples, and it continues over the period of the time. What happened is that because of the age progress, the intelligence reduces, the lifespan reduces. It was very hard for one to learn Vedas so easily. Therefore, Vedangas came into the picture, how to protect and learn the Vedas: Siksha, Chandas, and Vyakarana, Niruktam, Kalpa, and then Jyotisam. These are all to support the Vedas and protect the Vedas for especially people in the Kali Yuga and the Yugas to come later, how we can learn Vedas. And then these Vedangas are just to support the Vedas in the concept of listening things. It is going to assist us to listen Vedas. Listening skill is so very important. The Vedanga is going to help us to listen the Vedas nicely. But after listening, the contemplation is very important. Contemplation of what we heard. Therefore, how do we contemplate? Upangas comes into the picture. The Upangas that we already saw, there are 8 Upangas: Puranas, Nyaya Shastra, Mimamsa Shastra, Dharma Shastra, Ayurveda, Dhanurveda, Gandharva Veda, and Artha Shastra. These are the Vedas. And then we saw then Orthodox religion are 6 in number, and there is a 6 darshanas are there: Nyaya Shastra, Mimamsa Shastra, Sankhya Shastra, Yoga Shastra, Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa. Also, we saw the 6 religions that were at one point of time, that is Saivism, Vaishnavism, Skandam, Sauryam, Shaktam, and Ghanapatyam. Those are the things. And then we saw the heterodox religion, which does not believe in the Vedas. but they have their own theory: Buddhism, Jainism, and ChArvAka philosophy. And then we saw how those who followed Orthodox religion took Vedanta, the Upanishad, the Vedanta Sutra are the highest philosophy, and they started developing further on that their school of thought. From that came Advaitam, Dvaitam, vishishtAdvaitam, Achintya bedAbheda Tattvam, and many different schools of thought, basing their philosophy from the Vedanta Sutra and Vedanta, the Upanishad. And that is what we have seen. And in that, two different categories of Vedantas are there: absolutism and theism. Absolutism are the one who does not believe in the personal form of the Lord, and theism who believes in the personal form of the Lord. In our next session, we are going to enter into Advaita philosophy, which is being found. The founder is Adishankara. We are going to see his life and his contribution to the world and his work, how he is considered also a Vaishnava, and then what is his philosophy. This is all we'll cover in our next session. Thank you all very much for joining today. And if you have any questions, anything, please start posting your questions in our WhatsApp group. And this will be recorded. And this material will also be shared with you. And also we'll be sending you a self-assessment, a sheet, Google form to self-assess yourself of what you've learned today. Please take time to do a self-assessment. That will be helping us a lot. Also that you're focusing, you're reading, and you're showing an interest. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Please forgive me for any offenses. See you in our next session. Thank you.